Hello, welcome everybody to another conversation to transform birth. I'm Sheila Kamara Hay, and I'm really excited to introduce you today to Jacqueline Kien. She's here with me today. Hi, Jacqueline.
Hi.
Hi, Annie. So Jacqueline is a midwife working in Austria. She's actually been in practice for 9 years and working in the field for 12 years. And Jacqueline recently graduated the Ecstatic Birth practitioner training, and we were on a call and we were talking about the state of birth within the systems, within the institutions. As a practicing midwife, she's been working in a hospital setting, and she's embarking soon onto her own private practice. And I really felt like the insights that she had, the knowing that she came to, her perspective as an actively working midwife in the field was really important to share. So I'm so happy to share her with you today. And Jacqueline, I'd love to just kick off with, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey.
Yeah. So I did midwifery school here in Austria, and then I started working in a hospital. And I also worked in Berlin and Costa Rica for a time. Came back to Austria again, and now I'm in the hospital where I am at the moment for about 6 years. And yeah, I was constantly searching for more, or for a solution to that brings me back the satisfaction or the love in this job and this field. And yeah, and now I think I found it, or I think I have an idea of where I need to go.
Beautiful. Can you talk a little bit about your vision, what drew you to birth, and what the reality was that you were experiencing in that disconnect?
I think the thing what I love about birth is the energy and what women are able to do. It's just amazing to watch and to attend this. And the more I was in this field of working in a hospital, I thought something is wrong with me, because I didn't feel that passion, that love, or when directly after a woman was giving birth, I didn't have this feeling of crying with her and feeling this love, and I thought something's wrong with me, and I'm a horrible midwife. And I need to quit the job, or I need to find something else. And then I realized that maybe there's nothing wrong with me, but there is maybe not this passion, or not the room for this love and this feeling, this deep feeling, or this deep state where you really, also as a midwife, you cry with strangers in this room, because you are so touched, and it's only possible when they also go into this deep state. And after I realized this, my active searching started to find a solution. And first I thought I should optimize birth, or find a solution for easy and fast birth, because that was the first idea. And then I attended different birth, as I always did, but one was really a horrible birth, with emergency and everything. And this woman was so thankful, so full of love. And then you have in another room another woman, and she was having a birth. This was amazing. She was just breathing and sounding, and the baby came in 2 hours. And she said, it was horrible. I will never do this again. And then something changed in my mind or in my field, that it's not about how the situation is, and there must be the solution. I need to find it somewhere else, and it's inside of us, or inside of how we see, how we feel birth. And yeah,
It's so beautiful to hear you talking about looking for the love in the birthing room. And, you know, if we take a step back from the structures and the medical systems and everything, this core of love, right? Like to be conceived in love, to be born in love, to come into the world with love. It's actually, you're speaking to the sacred, right? Like birth as a sacred act. And it's really beautiful to hear you presence that. And that element of the sacred that you were searching for is not necessarily tied to circumstance, right? So I heard you say, you know, what would objectively be considered a difficult or maybe even traumatic birth, there was a feeling of this love. And then on the other side, that love was absent. So it becomes this orientation. And so I'm curious about that. If you could talk a little bit more about how can we as practitioners really activate that love or presence it or bring it forward so our clients could be more open to it? What thoughts do you have around that?
I think the key is really inside of everybody, so that we change our perspective, and we see it in a different light, and that there is also the room. So I think it's there are two sides or two parts: the practitioners, the midwives, the doctors, all the people are working in this field, and the women too, because you need both parts when you are into this love and into this field, and the woman just wants an epidural and don't feel nothing, and don't feel that love and that magic in this process, then it's also not so easy. So you need both this education and that the people feel the difference and open their eyes, because in the field, in people that are working in hospitals, it's normal for them to work like this and to experience birth like this. And yeah, it's all about when everyone is safe and survived. It's that's the magic, and not more. And also for some women, they don't experience more or don't want to experience more. I also had that.
Yeah, it's really interesting to think about, you know, what people consider normal, right? Just because something is normal, it doesn't mean it's optimal. It doesn't mean it's the best potential way to flow through something. And I think to a certain extent, we've normalized a lot of experiences in birth that, you know, maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should be holding this higher vision, you know, in the ways that you're expressing this sacredness, this love, this ecstasy, right? Like holding the vision for that and really holding the possibility for that. And I know that that's been a really big part of your journey, is you know, you've had this vision and it's been a little bit frustrating for you not to be able to witness it day in and day out. And I'm curious about, do you think it's possible in a system like a hospital to really create these kinds of outcomes? Or do you think it's really necessary to kind of overhaul the system or work outside of it for now?
I think it's possible, but it's hard to go that deep and to reach that state in a hospital, because you're constantly disturbed, and also, and it's also because the midwives and doctors are not used to women that are in states where you cannot talk to them, you cannot, or maybe in orgasmic states during birth, and where they are really in out of space, or women that want that, they find it really strange. So how they look at you, you feel that, and you don't want to be that stranger, and you don't feel safe and comfortable in. That's the first thing, because you don't feel safe enough to go that deep, and it's you can reach it when, or for me, it was possible with women to reach that state when no one was there, when everyone was in the operation room, or when I was alone with the woman. And then it was just amazing, also in the hospital setting. But you really have to protect the woman from this, and there are such little things we don't have, or here we don't have doors where you can lock the doors for the emergency reasons, and it's also not clear that someone is knocking and waiting to enter. These small things, and because they don't see it as a sacred act or a sexual act, they maybe talk to you if you are crazy or not really normal when you come with this idea. And that's a huge part. And I gave up the idea that I can heal and change everything in the system, because you just lose all your energy, what you give and try, and because your voice is, they don't hear it, they don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I think you touched on something really, really important. I mean, there were so many things that you said, but the piece that I want to highlight is you as a practitioner, like, what's the energy you're holding? And so it's also been my experience that it is absolutely possible to have ecstatic births, orgasmic births in a hospital setting. But as you said, it's a lot harder. And part of what's harder is systemic and lack of training and personal, societal, cultural conditioning. But also what you present so beautifully is what's the tone that the other people are holding, right? So for you, you've done your inner work, you've done your work to connect with your body, with your sexuality, with your oxytocin flow, and you can really bring that to the space. So if you're witnessing a woman who's in a trance state, who's in an orgasmic state, your presence actually facilitates that, right? But for someone that hasn't done their inner work, even if you know up here, birth is a sexual act, if you go in there and you witness a woman in an orgasmic state and you're uncomfortable in your body, you're actually going to prohibit it. So this is why years ago I decided to start the Ecstatic Birth practitioner training, because I would be working with expectant moms and they would do so well within themselves, but then they didn't really have that person that could hold the tone alongside them. And then other people walk in the room. As you said, the door is not locked, people walk in, and that really disrupts the flow of labor. So I'm curious if you could talk about, like, how has you, like, your journey connecting with your body and your sexuality, how has it supported you as a midwife?
In so many ways. I think the biggest thing is that I really feel now when I see or attend the birth, I get in this kind of aroused state, and in this where my body gets activated, and where you have the feeling you also want to give birth, what I've never had before. That's because it was a miracle to see it, but I didn't have the feeling of I want this too to experience, and yeah, that's I think the biggest shift, and but it's at the same time harder when you have this feeling it's hurtful for me to see women suffer in their fear and in the world where pregnancy and birth is not something you enjoy, and where you feel this pleasure. And so I really feel the pleasure in my body is huge, and I also have the feeling that whatever comes, I can hold it, and I'm not afraid. I'm not I've never was. I was never a person in this field where I was afraid. I sometimes talk to myself. I should maybe more, because everyone around was freaking out with some things, and I always had this intuition where I thought, no, everything will be fine, and I hope it will, because it's just my feeling. I cannot argue it or explain it. It's just a feeling, and this feeling and this intuition is so much stronger, and it's really a different kind of work what you do and what you experience. And yeah, I think that's the biggest shift for me, and that I want to birth. Like, yeah, I want to experience, to feel it, and I cannot and sentences like women are poor because we need to suffer and we have to go through this is, I think, one of the sentences we need to change this.
Yeah, I love hearing you say, like, you want to give birth. When you go into the birthing room, you feel that in your body, and there's a pleasure there. There's an excitement there. It's not a fear. And really what you're articulating is an embodied experience of ecstatic birth in your own body. Innate wisdom, knowing, primal. It's not up here. It's in your body. And that's huge. That's huge, because, you know, as a practitioner, then you can hold that tone for your clients. But when you don't have an embodied experience, it becomes really challenging, because you don't understand. You can't hold your clients in those spaces. And so it's, you know, I hope, you know, those of you that are listening to Jacqueline's story are inspired to really prioritize connecting with your bodies, because that's everything. You know, you can get all of the information, the research, the practices, you can say the words, but actually it's your presence that's transformational. And, you know, when you're connected to your body in this way, as Jacqueline so beautifully articulates, your inner knowing, your innate wisdom gets amplified. And in your case, Jacqueline, like, your alignment with how you want to show up in the world, with what you want to do, is taking you down a whole new pathway, which is really exciting. So talk about that.
Yeah, I knew it a few years ago that there will be a point where I need to quit my job in the hospital field, and be just my own boss and and go with what my truth is. And so I started to, I will start to do also online preparation classes and and workshops and kind of retreats or whatever is comes up to really change this field and to make people feel how it could be or how it can be, and to go out there and share things, and to go out of the field in the hospital and do just birth with private clients where you really have the time and the space for attending births that are just mind-blowing and give you this satisfaction that that a birth should give. And
Yes. Your joy is contagious, and I really want to highlight it. I hope all of you can see like her joy, her energy, that feeling of excitement that is so different, right? From this place of like, oh my gosh, there's so much work I have to do to change the culture. That feels so heavy, right? Like that, we all feel that, let's face it. Like those of us that really hold the sacredness of birth can feel that heaviness in our body. But Jacqueline has the joy, the energy, the excitement. Why? Because she's been tending to her body, and she's been really like cultivating that pleasure, that oxytocin flow, that deep inner alignment and inner connection. And she's found a pathway forward that is in full alignment with that joy, which is really, really exciting. And that is how you transform the culture of birth. So I'm so grateful to you for sharing your story, Jacqueline, and I hope it'll inspire so many others. Jacqueline just got certified as an ecstatic birth practitioner. Woo-hoo! So I'm wondering if you'd be willing to share, like, how was the training for you? What did you get from the training? What role did it play in this evolution that you're currently in the flux of?
It's hard to tell because it was there's so much in this training, and I love to hear so many different people from their perspectives, and it comes all down to the love and to the passion and the pleasure in birth, but to understand how it works. And now when I'm seeing it, or myself 1 year ago, I cannot imagine how it wasn't clear, or how it isn't clear to everyone that that it can, or that pleasure is something we can learn, or we can grow with it and get more open and into this deep state of relaxation and love. And that's what I see, or I think this training was just an eye opener for something, or where you get reminded of something you knew inside or in your cells, but you forgot it somehow, because you just see what's normal, or what 90%, I don't know how much, but what you've heard all your life, and what people show and what people think, and and then you think it's normal. And that was a huge eye opener, and where you remember how it should be.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And one of the things that I also think is incredible is to know that you're not alone, right? So you always had this inner knowing, and I love that you're calling it a remembrance. But it's really hard when you're a visionary, when you have this inner knowing, but what you're witnessing is so different every day, to be able to hold steady in it. And so you come in And all of a sudden, like, your voice is not alone. That inner knowing gets amplified in community.
Yeah, that's totally true. It's beautiful to see that all over the world people are going the same pathway or through the same things. And yeah, that was just something that lights you up and help you go further and do it.
Yeah, well, lucky people that get to work with you. I know you said you're creating an online course and that you're going to be offering more like retreats and experiences and things like that. So for people in Austria, but actually beyond, who would love to follow your journey and, receive your offerings, where can they find you?
On my website, it's called Divine Feminine Birthing. And yeah, I share everything there.
Beautiful. And I'll put the link in here, Divine Feminine Birthing. Is there anything, Jacqueline, that you want to share that you didn't get a chance to, either to other practitioners like you or to expectant moms?
I think the most important thing is to trust your feeling, to trust yourself, because it's always right. It's really always right. And after this training, I also promised myself never to think that I may be not right, or that this feeling is or the intuition is not right, or yeah. I think that's one of the most important things.
That's really, really beautiful. And I find that happens a lot, especially with women, right? We think something's wrong with us when actually it's not us. There's that knowing, that inner knowing, that we remember that it could be different, it could be better, but we think, oh, maybe something's wrong with me. So I think that's such a beautiful point to really honor your feeling space, to honor your knowing, and to move forward from that place in your journey, wherever you are.
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much for coming here today, Jacqueline, and sharing your story, your wisdom. It's really been a pleasure to have this conversation with you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
All right. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye for now. Bye, everyone.